Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, stuff stacking up over here again. We're going to do a little odds and ends video, clean my desk off, get some stuff put up here in the shop. This is a combination of some viewer mail as well as some recent acquisitions that I've made in the shop, but some kind of interesting, cool things I think you'll enjoy. So let's get in here and take a look at some viewer mail and odds and ends. So the first item here comes from Paul Henning, who's up in Ohio. And Paul sent this in. It's a little magnetic starter switch. And the reason he did is I recently picked up that little Porter cable sander, the nice big belt sander. And on the way home from that trip, the cover off of the magnetic starter that was on mine blew off and got lost, and he had this one laying around his shop that he wasn't using, and sent it to me, said, hey, maybe you can swap those out. So it's a different brand and make, so it's not just swap the cover, I'd have to swap the entire unit out. And when I restore that machine, probably a little bit later this summer, if I get some time to do that, I'll go ahead and update that and put this one on there. I also need to check out the heaters that are in this and make sure that they're sized correctly for that particular machine and all that. But anyway, nice little piece of electrical equipment, and hopefully can solve the problem of the missing cover. We'll just replace the whole switch. So Paul, thank you so much for sending that along, and be very handy to have here in the shop. Next item comes from Steve, and Steve sent this down to me. He said that I needed it worse than he did. I don't know about that, Steve, but I sure do enjoy looking through these old magazines. So this is a machinery magazine. This one here is 1919, and actually what this is a combination of several issues that were put together in one big volume here, but lots of really cool information on here. I love this picture on the front. Look there, you got a big horizontal milling machine, and I've got a big form cutter in there, and that joker's just plowing through. It looks like a casting of some kind. They've got it on a fixture on the milling machine, and just cutting that whole profile in one nice pass. That's what these horizontal milling machines were just so awesome at doing. Of course, you had to have custom cutters made in this case to do that, but still, just a really neat tool. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy looking through these. There's just always cool stuff in these things. Got lots of advertisements for old machines in here, which is great for my website over at VintageMachinery.org. But in addition, this is actually cool because they didn't cut all the advertisements out. But you know, here we go. Turret lathe practice. Doing jobs on a turret lathe, showing all these different special setups. I cut my teeth working in the machine shop, operating a turret lathe. So this was interesting stuff to me anyway. But just all kinds of cool information in these old publications. This one's kind of neat. I was looking at this earlier. They got a whole series in here on the automobile factory transportation systems. Actually, it's a whole series in this thing about the automobile industry in general, and basically this is in the early days of the auto line, so this is like, you know, building Model Ts or something like that, which is just really cool. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy looking through this, and wouldn't be surprised if some of this information in here doesn't eventually get updated on my website. One of the things that's neat is whenever new machines were introduced, they often advertised them in here with a little article about them and some pictures. And these are great resources to figure out when a piece of particular machinery was introduced. And I really need to get all this stuff, particularly this kind of information, cataloged up on VintageMachinery.org so that we can have a record of it, because libraries are throwing this kind of stuff away. They consider it obsolete information, but from a historical standpoint, it's pretty interesting. Anyway, Steve, thanks a lot. So in addition to the machinery magazine, Steve also sent in this really cool instrument here that I thought was worth spending a few minutes on talking about. I had actually never seen one of these, but it's pretty cool. So this is an alignment microscope that you actually use in conjunction with a piece of machinery. And so in this case here, what you would use this on, this was made for like really accurate machines like a jig borer or something like that, a horizontal boring mill machine you could use it on. But if you wanted to get your spindle set up on an exact mark, like crosshairs, or if you marked something in there and you needed to get a very precise alignment on that. This was designed, this is a 1/2 inch up here. You would actually mount this in a collet, like think of on a milling machine. We can just think about that. So put this in a 1/2 inch collet on a milling machine. And what you've got down here is just a microscope type setup. You got a lens here that you look in. So think of this being mounted up on the spindle, kind of like such. And you could look through the microscoped eyepiece down through there, and there's crosshairs inside of this, and you can then adjust your table until you get it lined up. So it's kind of like a sight for looking down. Think of like a scope on a rifle, but in this case it's a scope on your milling machine to get centered up on something. So anyway, pretty cool. I'm gonna have to try this out sometime. I just looking down through the microscope, it looks like it's working. It's in operational condition. So anyway, kind of cool. It also came with instructions on how to use it. So anyway, very neat little instrument to have around. Next item here was sent in by Leonard, and Leonard sent me this little piece here. If you don't know what this is a table for using with a little handheld bandsaw. So I've got a little DeWalt portable little band mill for hand cutting on there, and what this is a table that you can actually mount on that and set your bandsaw straight up and down, and you have a work table so you can use it like a traditional bandsaw. So a very little handy tool to use with a bandsaw. And this particular unit is made by Swag. He said he actually had 2 of these, or he purchased another one from a different brand or something, had this one laying around the shop, wasn't using it, thought I could use it. So I need to do a little bit of research. I think that it doesn't have the legs with this, but that's an easy thing to fabricate up or even modify a stand for this thing or something like that. But anyway, I need to check this out and see if I can use it with my DeWalt little portable bandsaw and basically use it as a bandsaw table. I did a video recently where I was trying to do some using that bandsaw like a hand or a traditional bandsaw. I was having kind of a difficult time with it, so I knew they made these. I've seen other people that have them, but anyway, this will be a nice little addition to the shop and make that little bandsaw maybe a little bit more useful. So Leonard, thanks for sending that along. Well guys, next comes a couple of boxes full of old machinery catalogs and manuals, et cetera, that came from Jay Goring. And Jay sent these down to me. He knows that I'm over on the VintageMachinery.org website. We host scans of a lot of old types of publications like this. And he sent these along to be included on the website. He basically just gave me all this stuff so that I can have it when I get done with it. So I'm going to add this to my pile of material that needs to be scanned, and it is quite a pile of stuff that I've gotten behind on, but hopefully we'll get some of this material scanned and uploaded this summer. My daughter's home from college this summer, and I have hired her kind of part-time to help me with that process. She's doing some scanning and converting these things over to PDFs, and hopefully we're going to be able to work through a big part of that pile of material that I have sitting up there that's in need of being finished to be scanned and uploaded. But honestly, I probably got more to do than she's going to be able to get done this summer. But eventually, hopefully, we'll get all this stuff scanned and uploaded. But an amazing treasure trove. I'm not even going to try to go through everything that's in here. It's a lot of different companies, a lot of different manufacturers, and there's some really cool stuff in here that really needs to be preserved and put up on the site. So anyway, thanks so much for sending this along. I'm going to add it to my pile. My daughter's going to probably freak out when I put this much more stuff up there. But oh well, we're going to do it. And to make matters even worse, I've even got more of this stuff to add. So let me show you that. So next items here come from Valor Proctor. We got even more publications to add to the mix, and some cool stuff in here too. There's a instruction manual on a Monarch 10EE. We got some Bridgeport milling machine stuff, Rockwell machine tools, Logan lathes, Levin lathes. The list just goes on and on. So again, lots more cool stuff, and we'll add it to the pile and hopefully get this stuff scanned and uploaded where folks can use it as a reference coming up soon. So again, thank you very much for sending in more work for me, and more good stuff for the website, because that's one of the big things that we offer over there on VintageMachinery.org is all kinds of scans like this to help people when they have old machinery so they can find more information about them. Next item comes from James Massey out in Bakersfield, California. And he sent in a little book here, kind of interesting book. It is titled, let's see, How Oil is Used for Fuel on Locomotives for Supplement to Science of the Railways. So anyway, this was actually published 1902, 1903, so very early on. And you know, interesting thing about steam locomotives and railroading is, you know, we think of coal as being the fuel that is, you know, used on railroad equipment, and by and large, coal was the primary source of fuel. But it really kind of depended on the era, and as well as what was available locally. And you know, early on, a lot of the locomotives were actually wood-fired, particularly on the east, because or in the southeast, down in my neck of the woods, a lot of stuff was wood-fired because we just didn't have coal readily available down here. And before the railroads where they could ship coal so easily, it cost a lot of money to get coal down to these areas. As railroads expanded, coal became a lot more practical in a lot of places, but particularly out west, where there was a lot of oil available. Oil was actually cheaper than shipping coal in from the east. So a lot of your western railroads use oil as a fuel, all the way up to the very end of the locomotive, steam locomotive eras. And particularly in mountainous areas, like in the Rocky Mountains, a lot of those locomotives were oil fired because you actually could get more BTUs or more heat out of oil than you could coal per volume, and because of that, you weren't carrying as much weight, but you could get more energy out of it. And in those mountain areas in particular, where they needed a lot of heat, a lot of fast heat to get those locomotives to climb up those mountains, oil actually would burn hotter and could make the heat go quicker. So a lot of your mountain railroads use oil. But anyway, very interesting book for me. We actually fire our locomotive, a little small locomotive out at the museum. It would have originally been fuel oil, but you know, we're actually using diesel oil now just because we can't. Fuel oil's not very available down here in the south. You know, up north where they use it for heating a lot, it's readily available. Down here, fuel oil is not very readily available, so we're just using diesel oil, which is very, very similar. But anyway, this will be an interesting little read. We'll add this to my library. And James, thanks for sending it in. So up next here is a really, really cool addition to the shop I'm really excited about. This came sent in by Lauren Langdon, who's out in Idaho. And he'd actually talked to me about this some time back. And it took him a while to get it rounded up and sent down to me, but man, this is going to be awesome. So what you're looking at, this is a very nice, I guess you could say indexable tooling made by Apex Tool Company. And this is all planer tooling, so used on a metal planer. It's a great big tool holder here, and this does fit on my metal planer, which I'm hoping to start a restoration project on here very soon. Now that I've kind of finished up my Monarch lathe, that's kind of the next machine in the queue. I got a few things I need to work on in the shop here first, but I'm going to hopefully get that planer going here before too much longer. And this right here is going to be really awesome, because what's really neat about this, you got one tool and you can just change the cutters out on here for different operations. So like, you know, for doing just a big nice round cutter there, this is a brand spanking new insert. It just fits up in there. If you look, it kind of has a corrugated type fitting on the back. This goes in here. There's a nut up at the top. You pull this in, and this is kind of a wedge, and it literally pulls in there and wedges that cutter in place and holds it in place. When you're ready to change cutters, you just swap them out. So if you want to do a flat planing cut, getting that cut across there that's nice and flat all the way across, here you go, you got a cutter there. And these can be taken out. These are made out of some type of forged steel, but they can be sharpened. You can take them to the grinder, you can sharpen these, you can regrind them and use them over and over until they're used up. So, and he sent along a nice little assortment of cutters. I believe At least I found a website out there that says they still sell these things. I haven't got any pricing on any of them yet. And Lauren actually told me he thinks he's got some more cutters laying around at his place, and he's going to see if he can dig those up and send them to me as well. But anyway, really, really nice heavy duty set of cutters here in the holder. This is well, I think it's an 8AA 035-2, and when I was looking on their website, they size these. I want to say this may be a number 8 size as far as these cutters go. They made these in several different sizes. This is a larger size to be used on a bigger machine like the one I've got. But anyway, Lauren, thank you so much for sending this. This is really cool, and I'm really excited to have this. And this is going to be a great little addition to my metal planer once I get that thing up and running. Hopefully going to be working on that very soon. So anyway, thanks a lot for sending that in. So guys, to me, this right here is a recent find that I had. This is just super, super cool. This is actually an eBay find for me. I found this, or I have to give credit. Actually, a viewer of mine brought it to my attention, and when I saw it, I just had to jump on it. This is a pretty early, I'm pretty sure, little display case. Probably would have been like in a store where you would find this kind of stuff, where they had all these different center punches, nail sets, and drive pin punches for sale. And nice little display, or a customer display, whatever, consumer display type item. And I'm pretty sure this is probably pre-World War II, just based on some of the numbers that are in here for the stocks that goes into this. Now, when I found it, it was just the tray, and actually when I got it home, I started going through all of my punches and center punches and everything else, and fortunately I was able to find most of what's in here. And then there's a couple of items in here that I picked up on eBay since then, but just a really, really neat little display there. And anyway, I think that'll be just kind of neat to have in the shop. And I'll use the punches and stuff in here, but having this really cool Starrett display is just really awesome. Now, as far as what I'm missing, it's kind of interesting. I've been doing a little bit of research just with some of the Starrett catalogs and such that I have, and there's some interesting things here. So, for example, this number 264, this is a center punch. It's a square shank center punch, and Starrett still makes these, and I actually have a set of the A through G's, but A, B, C, and D, the ones I have right down here, let me get them up here where you can see them. They will not fit this this case. And if you look, these are all made out of the same same size of this square stock, that knurled square stock. But if you look, they won't fit down in the holes. These are all progressively smaller. And I think what happened is at some point in time, Starrett changed the way those were being made. In fact, let me show you in a catalog here. So if you look in the book, the A, B, C, and D, these are actually, look to me like they're progressively larger sizes of the square material, whereas the ones I have, they're all the same size square material that were made out of. So anyway, I'm going to have to try to find me some of these older style 264 punches to finish those out. The E, F, and G sizes did fit into the caddy. Another one, let's see, let me find a couple other ones in here that are interesting. So this is kind of interesting, these nail sets. So number 116 nail set, so I've got A, B, C, D. And according to here, they had A, B, C, D sizes. I've got those, but then next to that is the 176. And if you see down here, these are the extra heavy nail sets, and they had an A and B size of those. And the 176, the slots here in my case, this is an obsolete number. Starrett doesn't make that. I haven't figured out exactly when it was discontinued. This catalog that I'm showing you right now is from 1930. My other catalogs that I have, only got a couple of Starrett catalogs. They're all from after World War II, and my suspicion is that during World War II they discontinued the 176 size, and I haven't been able to find any of those. Also, they had the number 265s, and see here, number 265 A through G, and that was a nail set, which is kind of, this isn't like a typical nail set. It's not really cupped on the end like most nail sets. It's more like a little tapered punch. But anyway, these are square shank ones, kind of like the punches I showed you a while ago. And the 265s, I believe this is also an obsolete part. I don't think that Starrett makes those anymore. I may be wrong on this one. I'm going off my memory, but anyway, I haven't been. No, actually, I take that back. I think they do still make these. I just haven't been able to find a complete set of them yet. I think that's what it was, but I don't have that set. And then this other one over here, this combination nail holder and set, number 119. There's actually a hole back here in the back for that one, and I'm missing that one. I have not been able to find this one anywhere on eBay or anyway, but it's kind of a nail set, but it has a little spring piece there that comes off of it to hold a tack, so that you could use that to hold the tack. You get it started, and then you'd hammer it in, then you turn around and use the nail set to set it on back in the rest of the way. So anyway, a couple of holes I'm trying to find. I don't know that I need all those parts, but I got the display case. It'd be cool to find them all. So anyway, on the lookout for those. If anybody's got any of those, shoot me an email if you got something you'd like to part with. I'd be interested in purchasing them or doing some trading or something to kind of fill in my missing holes here. Another little viewer mail item came in the mail today. I thought I would include this in here real quick. So John Jeffries sent this along, a really, really nice large face Federal indicator. This one measures to 0.010 of an inch. So super sensitive, super big face. This is pretty cool. So, you know, that's 1,000th, and there's 10 increments in between there. So super, super high precision. You know, guys, I really like these Federal indicators. I know they don't get enough respect. Everybody's looking for the Starretts and everything else. And these Federal indicators, man, they are really, really top-notch tooling. And there are a ton of these things out there. If you're looking for a good indicator, don't be afraid to look at a Federal because they make good stuff. And Mark Rotowski over at MR Tool, he can fix these things up if you find one that needs some work done to it. This one looks like it's in good shape, other than the crystal being a little bit frosty, but I can deal with that. So anyway, John, I mentioned he's got a YouTube channel. He sent me a sticker through the bulkhead is his YouTube channel, and I need to go check him out. He actually was the winner of the lathe giveaway last year at the bash, at the summer bash, and so he's been playing around with that some in his shop and on his YouTube channel. He also sent along, this is kind of cool, make sure that's in the frame. Here you go. He also sent along this little hat, Monarch Predator. So that's actually the Monarch lathe logo on there. And he said, since I have 3 Monarch lathes, he said, I must be a Monarch Predator, even though I did just get a Revette lathe as well. He says, I'm a Revette Predator now too. But anyway, I thought that was kind of a neat hat. So I'll put that up there. I kind of got a little hat collection starting out here on one of my shelves in the shop. So I'll put that one up there with those. So thanks a lot, John, for sending along some cool items. Well, I'm excited today because I've got a new restoration project that has found its way into the shop. And this is actually something that I've been wanting to have for years and years and years. And recently I saw these come up for sale. My buddy Andrew Alexander, Blacksmith Tools over on Instagram, had come across these and had them up for sale. I contacted them and we worked out a deal on these, and they are now mine. If you don't know what these are commercial grade ice cream turns, old school ice cream turns. These are made by White Mountain. White Mountain still makes ice cream turns, still in business. They don't make this model anymore. At least I don't believe they do. I haven't been able to find any information on their website. They still make the old hand crank ones in a 4-quart and 8-quart size. This one is a 20-quart. It's 5 gallons of ice cream, and I got 2 of them. 10 gallons of ice cream. Yeah. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to this. I just got these in the shop today. Haven't even had a chance to really even check them out at all, other than just a quick look. The metal parts, you know, the churns, the cranks, all this stuff looks. I ran them or anything like that, but they look to be complete. They don't look to have any major issues. I'm hoping there's nothing major wrong with them. I got one bucket back here, wooden bucket that is still intact, although it's got some rot issues. I got the pieces, the staves for another bucket that's in here. We're probably going to make new buckets. I've got a friend of mine out at the museum that's actually a cooper, makes barrels, and he's already looked at this, and we're already scheming and coming up with a way to make our own new wooden buckets, watertight buckets, and probably we'll have a video on that. He's done this kind of stuff before, never ice cream churns, but he's done this kind of cooperage before. So I think we can do that. Don't have the cans, the actual cans that you turn in, the 20 quart cans. Those were not included. Probably were just rusted out from old whatever. I've got one lid that goes on the can. So I'm gonna have to come up with another one of these. And I don't have a dasher, the part that goes down inside the churn for either one of them. Now there is a company out there that makes reproduction parts for these. They're real expensive. I may end up getting some parts from him, I don't know. But I'm gonna try to do as much of this myself just because I can. And make some videos and so forth. David's we'll probably do a video or two on making the wooden barrels here or the wooden buckets. And we may even, I got a friend of mine who lives here in town that has a tinsmith shop. I'm gonna talk to him, see if he can actually make the cans for us. I can buy them, but I think it'd be cool to maybe go out there and do a couple of videos with Rod over at the sheet metal shop. And have him actually make those and let you guys see how to do that, because he is a true craftsman. So I gotta talk to him and see if he'd be willing to do that. I don't know if he will be willing to do that or not, but we'll see. But anyway, looking forward to some videos coming up on this. This will probably be sooner than later because it is hot down here in South Georgia right now. This is end of May, and we're already getting temperatures in the 100-degree mark. Kind of unusual this time of year, but we're hot, very, very hot and dry down here. And I'm ready for some ice cream, so we're gonna have to get these things done pretty quick. So anyway, I thought I'd give you a quick peek at this. Like I said, I'm excited. This will be a fun video series to go through and restore these. Well, there you go, guys. That's going to be a wrap on this episode of Odds and Ends. As always, thank everybody for watching, staying to the end here. Thank you for everybody's people sending stuff in and comments we get, all those good things. Special thank you to all the guys that support the channel through Patreon. Huge help for me out here, and it's a great way to give back to any of your YouTube creators, is to help support them on Patreon as well. So with that, guys, we will catch you on the next video. Thanks again always for watching, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you later.